Oh, yes, I don't remember.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly board session. It's Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. It's 9:01, and we are here in Center Hearing Room at 555 Court Street, Northeast in Salem. As always, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you would please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin, I would like to recognize that we lost Selma Pierce last night. She was an incredible person for our community, and I'd like to just take a moment of silence for her and her family and ask you to keep the Pierces in your prayers. So with that, we don't have anyone signed up for public comment, and so we're going to start off with Katrina Rothenberger giving us a COVID-19 update. Morning, Katrina.
Katrina Rothenberger, I'm the Public Health Division Director for Marion County Health and Human Services. And for today, December 2nd, our COVID update is that we have 9,633 total cases, and 147 people have died. And I'm not reporting on our percent positivity rate today because of our backlog of negative tests. This is actually a statewide issue. Many counties are behind in logging these negative tests. So they're currently undercounted, and we are working to get those inputted into the system as soon as possible so that we can have some accurate records. So there is a statement on our data dashboard, and so when people go there, they will see that that isn't updated, and it will be as soon as that's resolved. I do need to share that the state data system, OPERA, is actually not functioning today. I got an email from one of my staff, and it's not, this is the data system where the negative labs get entered in, where we assign cases to epidemiologists, and this is how we do our work every day. So the fact that it's not functioning is a significant issue and contributing to further disease spread in our state because we cannot adequately investigate cases or be notified of these folks who have a positive test result. So this is a pretty serious issue that we've been, it's been slow lately, and OHA has said that there is a fix. However, today it is completely not even functioning. So I would like to elevate that a little bit more and just make sure that the board is aware because it significantly impacts all of our work at the county and statewide as well. And then just starting tomorrow that we are ending the 2-week freeze, and OHA will use a new framework to assess different risk levels for counties based on their COVID spread, extreme, high, moderate, and low risk. And every 2-week period, OHA will examine and publish county data, but the risk levels will not change until the end of the second week. The first week, counties will be given a warning week to prepare for potential risk level changes, and then the second week, the risk level will be updated based on that data. Currently, we are in the extreme risk category, and we still have restrictions placed on us, and those are on the county website. Some positive news is that we hear that there's a vaccine on its way and that we should receive some limited doses in Oregon by mid-December. And those are to be used for frontline healthcare workers, which is about all the information that we have right now on those doses. The FDA is currently reviewing emergency use authorizations for several vaccines, and once those are approved, they can be shipped out pretty quickly. And new information comes out every day about these vaccines. So we have a team of folks in place who've been planning for the past few months and staying on top of all of those updates. And then I just want to talk about the holidays a little bit more. As we enter the holiday season, we've seen an increase after pretty much every holiday since that has happened in the pandemic, and just want to provide some tips on things to consider when assessing your own risk level for yourself and your family. Thinking about how many guests will be present, checking in with folks afterwards, seeing if everyone's feeling healthy. What activities did you partake in, and what kind of exposure will you have during travel? Are you flying on an airplane and wearing a mask? And then if you're able to quarantine for the 14 days after, that would be best. And if you can access testing if you develop symptoms. And then since we are a little bit behind and our statewide data system is not currently functioning, we do want to encourage Marion County residents to notify their close contacts, do your own contact tracing if they receive that positive test result from their doctor. The individual who got tested will know before we do, and it would be very helpful to your close contacts and those around you to notify them of your positive test results so that they can begin their quarantine period. We do expect that we are building more capacity in the health department to get all this information entered and following up on cases in a timely manner. It's a lot right now. We do have a lot of staff who are working on this response and working long hours, and they're doing their best, but we're still a little bit behind. And we'll be working on adding some additional staff, maybe some different shifts in the day, so when the statewide data system is functioning again, we can enter that information easily, and just trying some different strategies so we can be more nimble and responsive for COVID. So, thank you.
Are there any questions for Katrina?
Thank
Please.
you, Mr. Chair. Katrina, I know we get these daily texts from Ryan. So as we read these, like today had 2,533 negative tests. So that's just all catch up because over the weekend, I know we got some with hardly any negative tests.
Yeah, those are probably over the last week or so,
Okay.
or a few days. I don't know. I just got that this morning
Yeah,
too, so I need to check.
So we're just getting them as they're being loaded into the system, and we're getting them back. But the hospitalizations is obviously what we've been concerned about from the very beginning. Is there and I know we've had an uptick in hospitalizations throughout the state and also in Marion County. Do you have any updated information on the status of how our hospitals are doing?
Yeah, there is a hospital capacity issue. Our capacity is still adequate, and I'd be happy to bring more updated figures next week on what that looks like, and I can continue to bring those if you'd like.
That'd be great. Yeah. Thank you.
Commissioner.
Well, it's very much on that related subject. Katrina and I were talking before, and I misunderstood. There's on this report we get every day it says hospitalization, but it isn't the number that's actually in the hospital. So what I'd asked her to do, and I just mean in kind of general terms, I don't want to spend a lot of time, but to kind of be able to give us a number of how many are truly in the hospital versus what the capacity is at any given time. It'd be a better figure for us to know that we're getting in trouble or we're normal or whatever. So I hope that could be possible, Katrina.
Yeah, certainly.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you for raising that issue of the statewide system as well. That's critical infrastructure. As you guys are doing your work, I don't have to tell you that. And I also want to just sort of reiterate what you said about people doing their own contact tracing and being responsible. I know I've sort of seen, and I've been critical of some of what I've thought as heavy-handedness from some of OHA's rules and guidance, but it's still, people need to use common sense, and sometimes that can be hard. I know a month ago, my family, we missed my godson's birthday, not because we had COVID, but because everybody had stuffy noses and coughs, and just in this age, where maybe a year ago we would have gone, we decided not to do that. And it was kind of a bummer, but, you know, you can be adults and make the right decision on those sorts of things.
I
So-
could lend you one of my sisters, she'll make sure everybody knows, just.
So I think people can make their own decisions and make sure that they're keeping their family members and friends safe during this time. Okay, thank you, Katrina.
Thank you.
All right, who's up for the consent agenda this morning?
Good one.
The good one. You're the good one evidently, Commissioner Cameron.
Well, I was warned, and we'll see how good his warning did for me. Mr. Chair, I'll move that under the consent calendar that we approve an order changing the bylaws for Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council. Also, under Board of Commissioners, approve an order adopting policy 910, emergency procurement public contracting rules. Under Public Works, schedule final consideration to adopt an administrative ordinance for December 9th, 2020, granting comprehensive plan amendment zone change partition ZPCCP, case number 19-003, Patrick and Tasija Alagos. Did I get the first one right?
Yeah, close enough.
All right.
I wasn't real happy with
That-
it, but I'll second it anyway.
That was the one that he warned me, but I don't know his warning helped. Mr. Chair, sorry, you seconded it?
I did.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, just Mr. Chair, I want to make sure, normally we put bylaws underneath an action item, but this was just some touch-up to the bylaws. For example, Public Safety Coordinating Council, basically the sheriff is, but based on ORS, the sheriff is a member of the Public Safety Coordinating Council. And the way our bylaws stated, we had to reappoint every time we had a sheriff change. So what the bylaws say now is that basically whoever is in that position of sheriff will automatically be there. So that was just the type of minor changes that we made to make sure, and we're still following the ORS. It's just one less step we have to do when we have a change in an elected official.
And this is specific to the juvenile director and health and human services director as well.
Yes.
So when they get those jobs.
When
they
those
automatically-
change, we don't have to go through a formal process. That person will just slide right in there when the job changes.
Makes sense. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. Next up, Commissioner Cameron, you're still up. We're going to consider approval of an order appointing Chris Baldridge, he seems like he's a stranger around here, and John Bauer to the Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council with terms ending July 31st, 2023.
Great. So, again, Mr. Chair, as positions change within different organizations, we have to nominate, and obviously the board needs to approve those nominations, recommendations that come from the Public Safety Coordinating Council. And in this case, there was also a recommendation that somebody from Salem Health be appointed, and I think that's a great idea. So John Bauer is being recommended to be appointed, and then Chris Baldridge, who is here with us today. I don't know, I guess we've gotten over him leaving us.
Does anybody
'cause
know anything about him? Has anybody worked with him before?
I don't know, maybe we should do a background check on him. Chris Baldridge is now the, I guess, security officer, the head security of Salem Kaiser Public School District. And he will be replacing John, I can't ever say his Vanderreel. And so we're asking that the board would approve appointing these two to the Public Safety Coordinating Council today. And Chris is here. If we want to have him give his background check, if he wants to come over and say a few words and talk about his new role.
Yeah, well, I'm also interested to hear how security at the Salem Kaiser School District is
Yeah.
going.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. So yeah, my name is Chris Baldridge. I formerly was a lieutenant with the Sheriff's Office. I worked for the Sheriff's Office for 15 years, and then I accepted a position with the school district as their Director of Safety and Risk Management. So my job entails the safety of and security of our staff, our students, our visitors, for some 42,000 kids and almost 6,000 staff. Also, any type of risk claims or risk management, compensation claims, anything like that. We have a pretty large operational canopy that my department handles. So it's an exciting job. I'm glad to be here, and I look forward, if appointed, to being able to provide the district's perspective on whatever issues may arise.
How are our schools? Do you feel like they're safe? Do you have concerns?
Right now, we're in comprehensive distance learning. We're doing a lot of that. Our schools are in a great position. We have great systems in place. We continue to evaluate those and have conversations around security, so those conversations are ongoing, and we'll be in a good place, hopefully, when we get back to school, and as soon as we can.
Very good. I know that's something that's been on people's minds over the last several years, as we've had some pretty scary incidents at schools around the area. So I'm glad you're there and making sure our kids are safe.
Well, thank you. I hope my expertise and all of the experience that Marion County and you as commissioners provided me, and the sheriff and the sheriff's office provided me, lend well to the school district and can provide a good perspective for them, so that we can have safe and welcoming schools.
Chris, you guys have questions?
Well, just was a statement. Since the lieutenant's been gone, my trips up to Detroit and back have been a little bit easier.
Are you gonna say quicker too?
That's not
Is
making
that-
me
I
feel
didn't
safe.
I didn't want to
That's not making me feel
admit
safe
that.
over here, Commissioner.
Actually, I haven't been making too many trips since the fire, and so, yeah, Chris, good to see you.
You too.
Thank you for serving the public still in this new role, and my hope is maybe we'll see him back in a Marion County Sheriff uniform someday.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Commissioners.
Yeah.
All right.
Chair Willis, if I could, then I'd make a motion that we do approve an order that appoints Chris Baldridge and John Bauer to the Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council with terms ending July 31st, 2023.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Next up, we have Barb Young from our very own board's office, and we're going to consider approval of the incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the state of Oregon, Department of Administrative Services, for Marion County to receive $3,551,225 in federal CARES Act funding for eligible business coronavirus aid relief and economic security. Wow, that was a mouthful. Good morning, Barb.
Yes, that is a mouthful. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Barb Young, Government Relations Manager for Marion County. Today is a good day because I do have some good information to share with our small businesses out there. So hopefully they'll hang with us and hear what we have to say. I want to take us back to a date, November 17th, when Governor Brown came out with the announcement that she had $55 million that she's going to distribute to all counties across the state. And she wanted to make sure that those dollars went to those hit hardest by COVID-19 restrictions and give a preference to those in the hospitality industry. So Marion County's portion of that $55 million is before you today for your consideration. It's an intergovernmental agreement with the state of Oregon in the grant amount of $3,551,225. And as you said, this is from the Federal CARES Act, from the Eligible Business Coronavirus Relief Funding. So we should be able to receive this funding in a lump sum once this is approved by the board. With this, we are pleased to be offering business relief grants for businesses negatively impacted by COVID-19, and we'll be offering these grants to grants who are established in Marion County and licensed through Marion County Environmental Health. And those are businesses such as our restaurants, our mobile food carts, commissaries, camps, hotels. Those are the folks that we'll be targeting, all related to that hospitality industry. And I just want to point out too that we really believe that this is a very diverse list. This list includes several women and minority-owned businesses. Now, while counties have discretion to decide eligibility criteria in that application process, there are requirements established by the state that any business receiving these dollars have to attest to. So we've developed a short grant application online for folks to jump on and to fill out. And by submitting this grant application, they're going to attest to the following items: that they are true and correct, and they confirm that this is true and correct to their business. So I'm just going to quickly run through that list, so if people are listening today, they have an idea of what those requirements will be. So they will attest to, my business is headquartered in Oregon and has its principal operations in Oregon. If required by law, my business is registered with Oregon Secretary of State Office Corporations Division. My business is either nonprofit or is tax exempt under the 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. They'll attest that my business has been adversely affected by COVID-19 in one of the following ways. My business was prohibited from operating as directed by the Governor's Executive Orders 20-12 or 20-65. My business can demonstrate a 1-month decline in sales of 25% or more, incurred by the COVID-19 pandemic between March 1st, 2020 and November 30th, 2020, as compared to the same period of time in 2019. My business incurred necessary expenditures between March 1st, 2020 and November 30th, 2020 due to the COVID pandemic. They will also attest that their business does not fall into one of these following categories: passive real estate holding companies and entities holding passive investments, nonprofit entities that do not have a federal 501c3 status, businesses that experience a decline in revenues for reasons other than caused by the COVID pandemic, seasonal, cyclical, those type of things. Businesses that are delinquent on federal, state, or local taxes due on or before the date of this application, businesses that do not comply with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations, and businesses that have closed and do not intend to reopen. There'll also be a demographic survey at the end of that as well that is required to fill out. The county has 30 days to roll this out and complete this entire application process and distribution of funds. And then we need to turn around and report back to the state by January 5th of how much money was distributed and to who. So the application process, we're going to open it tomorrow. We believe we have everything in place ready to go. And we'll run through Friday, December 11th at 5 p.m. when the application process will close. Marion County will be reaching out directly to all businesses on the Environmental Health Services licensing list. We're going to email them. We're going to send them a hard copy letter. Hopefully get that out later today or tomorrow at the latest. We're going to have the application online, and it will be in Spanish and English. We're trying to get additional languages on as soon as possible. But if there is someone who wants to fill out the application and they speak Russian or a different language that's not, the application hasn't been converted to, we have interpretation services through the health department, which we can connect them with those interpretation services to get that application filled out. So as I mentioned, we have a really tight timeline to put this all together, so I just want to run through that timeline one more time. We'll open the application process tomorrow, December 3rd, and it'll run through Friday, December 11th by 5 p.m. The week of December 14th, we will review all applications to ensure that they are complete. Our plan is to then by the week of December 21st, be able to get this list to Public Partnership LLC to distribute those checks prior to December 30th. We're anticipating approximately 1,360 applications, and we're estimating those grants to be about $2,500 each. So today, I ask for your approval on this intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $3,551,225 for distribution to our small businesses impacted by COVID. And I'm happy to attempt to answer any questions.
Thank you, Barb. Are there any questions for Barb?
Well, I do have one, and I don't know that we talked about it. Would there be any availability to call somebody or frequently asked questions, something? Because I can just picture myself trying to think whether I qualify under this, and I'd have some questions. I don't, by the way. I'm just making-
Absolutely, Commissioner Brentano, absolutely. In the letter and the email that we'll send out, we are putting contact numbers in there, and we will definitely, we want folks to call us if they're confused at all.
Thank you. Any questions for Barb?
No, but you just mentioned it, just to clarify, I don't have any operations in Marion County, so I don't have a conflict here.
Me either.
I like all the restaurants, maybe that's a conflict.
Well,
But I'd sure like to see them keep in
Trust me.
business too.
I do have a conflict because I can't go to a restaurant right now.
All right.
I think we're all in that boat. Okay, so I think this is Commissioner Cameron's motion, if you would.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the State of Oregon Department of Agriculture Services for Marion County to receive $3,551,225 in Federal CARES Act funding for the eligible business coronavirus aid relief and economic security act.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.
You're going to stay, though.
I'm going to stick
because
around, though.
Continuing with this theme, we're going to consider a contract for services with Public Partnerships LLC for up to $5 million to provide fiscal intermediary services for economic stimulus funding.
All right, again, this is the company that we will be contracting with to help us distribute the $3,155,225, so that way they can help us get those checks out to folks by the end of the month, by December 30th. They'll also be distributing our IRS 1099 forms to the recipients on behalf of the county. And the cost of this service is $88,260, and this does come out of the business relief funding. It is an authorized expenditure of that, and I ask for your approval.
Okay, any questions on this?
I might be mixed up, and I don't have a question in that sense, but we've had a lot of requests from other than non-restaurant or those type of firms, and I take it, the way I understand it is any dollars that we have left, any new dollars that come in, we'll be designing a program to try to get monies out to those entities too. Is that correct?
That's sort of our, if we have the opportunity, that's what's next. The issue here is timing. So we're required to get this money out by the end of the year, and that's actually logistically very difficult. So that's why we're hiring a company to help us.
I just bring it up because I want people to know we're aware and doing what we can and hope that that happens.
So, Mr. Chair?
Please.
No, I think the intent here is to get it all out the door to these organizations. There may be some, because there is a pad there, there may be some obviously that don't respond, but the timing of this is going to be very difficult to get that out the door. Well, you know, it may be a phone call and an application on somebody, but we've been kind of around and around on this thing, wanting to put together a grant process after this, but we don't have the time to do it. I did talk with Commissioner Nyquist from Lynn County last night on what they're doing, but they only have 200, and he described 242 establishments that they're going to be with their, I think, 1.7 million. We've got 13, how many?
1,360 that are in state.
That was good. I went to Oregon State, so I rounded off. So 1,300 plus operations. So we've got a bigger volume than they do, and they're kind of cherry picking some things that, like, we're gonna miss out on gyms, right? I mean, he asked me that. He says, what about the gymnasium that doesn't have a pool, for example? They're closed. Yeah, we're gonna miss that out because they're not licensed by us. So this is gonna be one of those things that when you hand out, when the governor hands money down, it happens all the time. Last time, I think we didn't do a lottery, so it was like first come, first serve, and we had people that missed out on that. This one, we just said, hey, these people, we know we have the contacts, we can get this money out the door. So for example, we got emails like from the Elsinore Theater, unless they have a health permit license, they're not in this.
And we're gonna have to, see if we can figure out something else for them, but we're doing what we can do, and we can only do what we can do, and we can't do what's not possible, and I think that's the bottom line.
And this is a side note of it. We're not gonna get open. None of our facilities are gonna get open based on the new criteria. Restaurants are gonna be able to, I think, open up to 50 people outdoors. I just drove by a restaurant in town, actually I was running by a restaurant in town that had a tent in their side yard, but it was hanging over onto the sidewalk of the city of Salem, that they're getting ready to be able to reopen, but it's all outdoor dining. You gotta have heaters and all that. So, the other thing we talked about last night on the phone, Commissioner Nyquist and I, he's put out this press release that he's calling for $1 billion from the state to do lottery funds to pay these businesses to be closed for another month, because we're not going to be able to be open. People are just going to die bankrupt. So it's going to be tough. It's not over.
But Barb, could you, just so people understand how tight limit and why we've defined it this way, then could you go over what our constraints has to be out by and et cetera?
Commissioner Brentano, yes, they gave us a very tight timeline to get this out. The money must be distributed by December 30th. If not, we have to turn it back to the state. And if the state doesn't have it expended, it goes back to the feds. So that's the timeline that we're under, and to be able to turn it around and process that many applications when we are short-staffed ourselves and trying to get this stuff out the door. And then we're required to do the report back to the state by January 5th. And they want to see that diversity. They want to see it focused on that hospitality industry. One of the things I will mention to Commissioner is we are anticipating more federal CARES Act money to come. We're keeping our fingers crossed for that. And if we are given another allocation of money, I think that would be great for us to bring back to the commissioners to consider a bigger process, a lottery distribution style process, so people have an opportunity to get an application in that's another type of small business that is being impacted. Does that help answer your
Yes,
question?
it does, and I certainly hope that second part happens, but just on the first, I'm very pleased with the process you come up with to get it to people we know are having trouble, and hope it does some good, so, and a very short time limit, so I'm pretty happy.
And I think the bottom line is we've been frustrated, I think, this whole time with the amount of the CARES Act money that's gone to Portland compared to us or the rest of the state. And so, for me anyway, I want to make sure that this money goes to our businesses as much as possible. And I'd hate to, because we ran over the timeline, or logistically we couldn't make it happen, to see that money go back to the state and get funneled back to Portland. So I just think it's, we're not gonna be able to help everybody, but at least we'll get the money here to businesses here locally, and it'll help as many of those businesses as we can.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I just want to add too that the contract that the board is considering today actually goes through next December. So if there is additional funding, the board can act quickly to distribute it, because it can be distributed under this contract.
Great. Thank you, Jane.
All right, Chair Willis, I'd like to make a motion that we do approve a contract for services with Public Partnerships LLC for up to $5 million to provide fiscal intermediary services for economic stimulus funding to businesses located within Marion County through December 31st, 2021.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you,
Barb.
Commissioners.
Thank you for all your work.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up, we have Ryan Matthews, and we're going to consider approval of amendment number 17 to the incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority to add $2,104,596.15 for a new contract total of $9,433,142.75 for public health services. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Ryan Matthews, Administrator for Marion County Health and Human Services, and I am here seeking approval of Amendment 17, which does award the county $2,104,596.15. I do want to provide some background to this, though. It's not quite as exciting as it appears on the surface. So this is not an additional $2 million that are new funds. These are rollover of unspent funds that were associated with our contract for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Within that first year contract of the fiscal year 1920, we were awarded a lot of funds, specifically the COVID funding, that spanned the full calendar year. So this is more of a record-keeping shift in any funds that were not spent by the June 30th deadline of the prior contract have been reallocated and rolled over to be spent through December 31st for COVID activities in the new fiscal year, which is under a contractual agreement with Oregon Health Authority for July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. So about $2 million of these $2.1 million worth of funds are the rollover of COVID funding that we've been spending since July 1st and then have through the end of the calendar year to spend. In addition, there are some public health modernization funding that was rolled over, and those were awarded through a biennium, but they were sort of chopped up into 2 individual annual contracts. During the COVID response, we discontinued a lot of our public health modernization efforts, so we underspent that first year grant pretty significantly over the last 3 to 4 months of that contract period, and those funds were rolled over into this agreement as well. The reason for the delay is it was dependent on the end of fiscal year expenditure reports being submitted to finally close out the fiscal year 1920 contract. Those reports were due in early September. And then that triggered the amendment of any unspent funds to be rolled over into the current agreement to allow us to continue to be reimbursed and to require us to continue to report on our expenditures in those areas. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that process. I know it's a bit unusual. I think this is also a symptom of, on the behavioral health side, we have biennium agreements that span the 2 years. On the public health side, they tend to they award funding over the course of a biennium, but they really segregate the contracts into an annual contract from fiscal year 1920 and then another annual contract from fiscal year 2021, which requires some sort of shuffling between when there are funds that need to be spent, in different time spans.
Very good. Any questions from Ryan? Okay, I entertain a motion. Commissioner Cameron, I believe you're up.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve an amendment number 17 to the incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority to add $2,104,596.15 for a new contract. Total of $9,433,142.75 for basic health services and for maintaining and improving public health services and programs in Marion County through June 30th, 2021.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Ryan. Looks like you're still up. We're going to consider approval of the incoming funds distribution agreement with the Mid-Valley Behavioral Care Network for the county to receive a rental assistance program payment.
Thank you. Yes, so we've had several amendments before you over the last couple of months related to the rental assistance program. And so I'll give a little bit of background as to why we are here discussing a distribution from the Mid-Valley Behavioral Care Network. So currently, as you know, we have an arrangement where the Oregon Health Authority passes these funds through to us, and we had those subcontracts with Polk County, and that's a process we're currently working on discontinuing. The predecessor to that arrangement was that the funds for our rental assistance program for our region actually were contracted directly to the BCN, and the BCN then had an allocation methodology by which they contracted with Marion County for those services, and then they also had a contract with Polk County for those as well. These started in February 2014 and spanned through June of 2017 under the umbrella of the BCN as the primary fiscal agent and the carrier of the agreement. Since then, they have had a pool of reserves, which I don't know the total amount. The total amount that's being distributed to us and this request specifically is for $419,642.49. But they had been holding those in reserves pending a review and an audit period with Oregon Health Authority to determine if any of the unspent funds for the rental assistance program either had to be reimbursed to Oregon Health Authority or if there was any true up that needed to happen between either Marion or Polk County specifically. Primarily, these reserves were accrued during the initial implementation of the rental assistance program. The BCN received a contract. It took a while for both Marion and Polk County to ramp up. This was a new service, so we had to hire staff, we had to develop our programs, and so there were some early initial underexpending of those funds. And the district, of course, the BCN, beginning on January 1st, 2020, when we had the new CCO in our region, the BCN is no longer the mental health administrator of Medicaid funds for Marion and Polk County, and they are currently in their wind down period. They have no current incoming funds at all and have a very, very small number of staff just sort of managing the run out claims and managing of the closing of their reserves and distribution of the final reserves between Marion and Polk County as the primary stakeholders. So this is the share that is attributed to Marion County. Based on the executive committee's distribution approval methodology, which is that 75% of all reserves for the BCN would be allocated to Marion County, 25% would be allocated to Polk County. That's driven primarily by the membership of their organization and the split between the Marion and Polk County populations. So these funds would be our share to be received. We would be able to use them to continue our operations and our support of our rental assistance program, which currently in Marion County is 45 slots for both youth and adults. And so we would like to seek approval for these funds so we can continue to use this resource. I know housing is in short supply in our community, and the supports for many of our populations, they need assistance in obtaining housing, of paying for application fees and paying first and last month's rent and security deposits and all the barriers that can prevent people from finding stable housing. So we really value this program and hope to receive these funds and utilize them in a positive manner for our community.
Very good. Any questions for Ryan on this item? Sounds like someone wants to write us a big check.
All right. Chair Wilson, make a motion that we approve the incoming funds distribution agreement with Mid-Valley Behavioral Care Network for the county to receive a rental assistance program payment in the amount of $419,642.49.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you,
Ryan. Okay, Jeff, you're up next. No, you are not up next. Oh, okay. 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 So I guess we'll take a recess, and in a minute, I'm going to open a public hearing for the acquisition of mobile home parks in Marion County by Keritas, a nonprofit entity to tax exempt financing. So we'll take a 2-minute recess. And open a public hearing to consider the acquisition of mobile home parks in Marion County by Keritas, a nonprofit entity, to tax-exempt financing. Jeff, good morning.
Should we ask the people on the phone to identify themselves?
Sure. Jane, do you want to do that?
Sure. So, it's our understanding there are 4 people on the line. Can you go ahead and identify yourselves?
This is Randy Redwoods. I'm the chairman of the board and chief executive officer of Keritas.
And this is Peter Evans. I'm the bond underwriter for the Keritas Corporation.
Hi, everyone. This is Gulgan Orr. I'm the bond counsel for this transaction. My client is actually a conduit issue rather than New Hampshire. And also, just for transparency, I also represent Marion County and many other local governments in Oregon in bond transactions as well.
Okay, is there anyone else on the line that hasn't spoken yet? Okay.
Great. Jeff, kick us off.
Okay, my name is Jeff White. I'm the Chief Financial Officer from Marion County. Keritas organization is seeking to purchase several manufactured home parks within Marion County and actually Clackamas County. They would like to use tax-exempt bond financing to make those purchases. In order to access that tax-exempt bond financing, the IRS requires that the governing body, in this case Marion County, hold a public hearing specifically required under the Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or TEFRA for short. This hearing that we're holding today was noticed in the Oregonian on November 25th with instructions to the public on how they could participate in this hearing. We received no such request from any member of the public, and there are none here today to testify or have any input regarding this transaction. After this hearing takes place, the board will then consider whether to pass a resolution to give the county's approval for Keritas to move forward seeking their tax-exempt financing. The county has no liability or participation in that financing, just our approval is needed for them to move forward. Jane has a few other items to share with you regarding this transaction, after which we'll turn the time over to Keritas and their legal counsel or their bond counsel to describe the project more fully for the public.
Commissioners, I think you have talked with Keritas, I think once or twice on this matter. Jeff and I have as well. And pursuant to the concerns you raised to us, we did ask Keritas to address whether they would be willing to forego seeking tax-exempt status or seeking property tax exemptions in Marion County. And they have indicated that they will do so both in writing, and then we do have a contract that will be going through to the board next week, in which they agree not to seek tax exemption in Marion County should they move forward with this purchase. They are also willing to provide right of first refusal should they sell the mobile home parks that they are purchasing in Marion County. So with those assurances, we turn this over to Keritas to, again, affirm those assurances and then provide the hearing materials they'd like the board to consider.
Board of Commissioners, this is Randy Redwoods. My formal name is Robert R. Redwoods, so you'll see that potentially on some of the documents, but I go by Randy. Thank you very, very much for giving us a chance for this presentation this morning. I greatly appreciate you being able to put this on your agenda and have this public hearing. The Keritas Corporation is a 501c3 corporate nonprofit entity. It was formed back in 1996, and from 1996 to the present day, Keritas has acquired and operates 22 mobile home communities in California, one apartment complex in California of 16 units. And we have one apartment complex of 20 units under construction. All the units, all 24 properties are affordable housing. Keritas's mission is to provide affordable housing and at the same time attempt to create a very vibrant and healthy community for the residents in those communities. And we've done that, I think, very successfully over the years in these various communities that I've just outlined. We've never sold a community since our inception in 1996, and we don't make acquisitions with the intent of turning the properties over in some period of time. Our mission is to operate these properties on a long-term basis, and so there's no intent to sell or dispose of any of the properties that we have. We have approximately 12,000 residents in those properties that we own today and that are complete. About 3,800 mobile home sites that those 12,000 residents occupy. In addition to owning and operating the mobile home communities, we run a whole variety of community programs, all the way from education/reading programs for all age communities that we own, to health classes, to providing scholarships, to providing food subsidies, to providing fix-up subsidies, rental assistance, medical coordination, and social gatherings when it's obviously out of the pandemic, /parties. All of our communities are bound under regulatory agreements with the county or city that our properties are located in. And that regulatory agreement is similar to the one that Jane just outlined to you for your review. We have 7 board members that have been on the Keritas board for some length of time. They all have diverse backgrounds, but they're all very complementary to Keritas, its mission, and its operations. The current project in front of you is our first venture outside of California in Oregon here now, and it is composed of 7 properties in total, all by a single seller. 5 of those properties are in Marion County, and it represents in total about 294 spaces of affordable housing. So our intent is to make the acquisition through tax-exempt bond financing, as Jane outlined, and to then operate those communities, maybe expand the communities. There's quite a bit of land that attendant to the communities that are being purchased. Certainly we've thought about maybe expanding those communities and on that available land, and run them in the same fashion that we've run the California communities, and really build the community spirit and obviously, ultimately, and always keep them affordable in that context. So that's the Keritas Corporation. That's what we're all about and what we're attempting to do. We're very excited about being in Oregon, and we've gotten some wonderful responses already from some interested individuals in Keritas coming into the state. So we're very excited about the acquisition, and really look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I have some comments.
Go for it, Sam.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I think they're all positive. I've been real concerned for a long time. I mean, even prior to becoming commissioner, watching mobile home parks, that's kind of a national trend, but it happened locally. The one that comes to mind first is Wilsonville, and I'm forgetting the name of this park right now, but it was kind of an upscale park. The property owners decided to sell it. Suddenly 200 people are pretty messed up. Even in an upscale one, the homes are too old, there's not a space to go to, or they're not acceptable condition. Typically, these mobile home parks, especially when Randy's talking about the, affordable housing, these are seniors, starter homes, low-income people. They don't have the resources to try to find something else. It'd just be an absolute disaster if they find out that literally the property under their home is being sold. They're gonna have to move out. So I'm pretty happy that this will help prevent that in these parks, and maybe spread it. I'm also happy to hear him talking about the expansion of parks to provide some more spaces available. What I thought was happening, and I think I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, was that part of this financing was just gonna be done by avoidance of property taxes, and, they put that into the formula and make it pay, so essentially the local government's paying for it too. Well, this doesn't do that if these agreements that we'll be signing accomplish that. And it isn't just for the county, because there's, all the other schools, community college, other districts that would be losing. So I think this is a pretty good win for the citizens of Marion County, and opportunities for low-income housing, and preserve these mobile home parks. And I hope it all comes out, but that's what it looks like to me, and I'll be in favor of it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cameron, do you have anything to add?
Well, I just ditto what Commissioner said. I think this is a good thing to help preserve, my dad lives in one. I don't know that it's one that's on their list, but I know that he's 88 years old, and that's where he wants to finish his life. And if something happened to him, or something happened to that park today, it'd be a real big lift for him. So I think this is a good thing.
Very good. And Randy, I just want to confirm, you said it, but Commissioner Brentano mentioned it. You're not going to be looking for tax exemption for these properties, is that right?
That is correct. We understand what the property tax rules are there in Oregon, and we can live with those. We've got those performed in to our financial projections, and we can live with the current property tax arrangement, yes. So, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And just to follow up on that, so your attorney, Christine Dunphy, sent a regulatory agreement and declaration of restrictive covenants, and it's your understanding that, or you're willing to tell the board today that you will be signing this agreement?
Yes, I will,
Okay.
for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So it sounds like we are going to take some action right now, Jane, is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, what is the action that you want us to
I
take?
think it would be that you would adopt the resolution approving the issuance of tax-exempt revenue bonds to finance projects located in Marion County.
Do we want to close the public hearing and then adopt a resolution?
Yes.
That is what we'll do. Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I will move that we close the public hearing and adopt a resolution approving the issuance of tax-exempt revenue bonds to finance projects located in Marion County.
Second?
Accurate?
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. And this public hearing is adjourned. Thank you, Randy, and your team. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
And Jeff, thank you very, very much for all your efforts. And commissioners, we're more than happy to look at other properties within Marion County for sure. And we'd be very, very active and interested in those.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next up, we are going to read the calendar. And Commissioner Brentano, I think it's your turn, and it's kind of a long calendar.
Oh,
So
how'd that happen?
you got out of
This
the
is a
hard
disaster.
initial. You got-
All right.
I'll take one name to give up that calendar.
Let's see, here's where we'll be together in the coming week. This afternoon at 4 o'clock, a FEMA briefing for local officials, Sandium High School gym, 265 Southwest Evergreen Street in Mill City. That's followed at 5:30 to 6:30 by Wildfire Recovery Community Town Hall. There's gonna actually be two of them. That's at the Gates Community Church, 40070 Gates School Road, Gates. The second one, first one's 5:30 to 6:30. The second is 6:45 to 8 o'clock, and that's to help limit numbers of people in the facility. And that's the same thing, Wildfire Recovery Community Town Hall, Gates Community Church, 40070 Gates School Road, Gates. Tomorrow morning, Thursday, 7 o'clock to 8:30, the Salem Chamber Public Policy Meeting. This will be a Zoom meeting. And then at 8:30, a fire update, 8:30 to 9:30, in the Commissioners Boardroom. That's on the 5th floor of this building at 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. Friday, 9 to 4, Board of Commissioners Retreat. That'll be my last one. That'll be located in Sublimity. It's rather vague, but somewhere, maybe by the Christmas tree would be a good spot. Nobody else is using it. 12/7, 8:30 to 9, that's Monday. Calendar review, Commissioners Boardroom, 5th floor, 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. That's followed at 9 o'clock by Management Update, Commissioners Boardroom. That's 9 to 11. Then at 11 to 11:30, Brooks Community Service District meeting, also Commissioners Boardroom. Then we go to Tuesday. I doubt if we're having this, it'd be nice, but a state and Marion County meeting typically held at the Covered Bridge Cafe, but I think that's closed. 8:30 to 9:30, a fire update on Tuesday the 8th, Commissioners Boardroom, 5th floor, 555 Court Street. Next Wednesday, 9 o'clock, is a regular board session here in the Senator Hearing Room in Courthouse Square of 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. That's followed at noon to 1:30 by the SEDCOR monthly business lunch, Broadway Commons. I'm not sure if that's actually being held either, but then at 1 o'clock to 1:45, a Mid-Valley COVID Economic Recovery Team, a Zoom meeting. And the final is Wednesday, 2 to 3, Marion County Housing Authority, a regular board meeting. That'll be in the Commissioners Boardroom.
Thank you, Commissioner. We've got quite an agenda ahead of us. Anything else before we adjourn today?
Thank you for asking.
I thought you might have something.
No, I'm just, I wanted to wear those orange suspenders just to savor this last weekend, but they didn't really match my outfit, and it already had some, so I just thought that might be too much. But it was a special, nice time when you don't expect good things and they happen. That's just wonderful.
Just one bright spot in a pretty tough.
I am a little disappointed to hear from you. I made you an honorary beaver, gave you your own flag, and I thought you and the girls would be watching every action-packed moment of that game. I found out that wasn't true, but perhaps you're leaning that
I
direction.
wanted to. I tried to, but I was at my parents' house, and my parents, I guess, don't have ABC. Turns out that their antenna wasn't working, so I could watch, I don't know. We started watching some forgettable football game, but it was not the one I wanted to watch. I was trying to watch the Notre Dame game and then the Ducks-Beavers game, and that was the one channel we didn't have, which is like, of all the channels that you're not gonna have, it seems like a pretty big mistake.
Yeah. Let's see, what else is good news? I think that's about it. I'm happy with these monies we're getting out that we've talked about. I'm happy that this mobile home park, when you heard Randy say that, look at others, there's a number of them that, the owners get old, want to sell, maybe the property's worth more, and suddenly all these, like I was saying, all these people in trouble. So anything you can do to help stop that would really help people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big need for our
I hope
community.
so.
I noticed your tie, you're in the season.
I
today.
am.
Getting ready for Christmas?
Sterling Anderson, former planner, told me I could start wearing them after Thanksgiving. And here we are, and it's my last chance. If I wear a tie again in my life, some dear person has passed away. I'm serious. Yeah, you don't want to see him. So I wanted to get them out. I may have some ties for you fellas.
There you go. Like an Oregon State tie?
You wouldn't wear my stuff? What?
You wouldn't believe through this fire, when you just said I may have some ties. So I had a closet at my daughter's, I had a closet up there with ties, and I got them all, smoke treated, right?
Yeah?
I got so many ties, I brought them all together, I got so many ties in my closet that, and I kind of wear the same ones over and over again, so maybe if you've got some like really new groovy ties, maybe I should, I've got to get rid of 2 for every one you give
I
me.
usually don't put new and groovy and Sam in the same sentence.
whoa,
but-
That's what I'm saying, because I don't know that he has any new and groovy ones.
Oh, I'm gonna make you eat your words. You're gonna be begging me.
Hey, you did bring me my Oregon State tie the other day, because I couldn't find it, and you know where I found it? I had to go to the cleaners, and I had dropped like 50 ties off to be cleaned, and they were still at the cleaners, so I found my Oregon State,
That was the
multiple
right day to
Oregon
wear
State
it.
ties.
Man,
I don't have any of those suspenders, though, now.
and they were like fluorescent
But you'll need to-
orange.
you'll
They weren't
need-
like little orange.
No, they were the
No.
real.
you're like
You'll
telling
need your
somebody-
suspenders, because when you leave here, you're gonna need some help. Right? Right, because after this job, don't we all go off and lose weight and need help?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen. Next time you see me, I could be pretty round.
Oh my God. Well, there was a good Thanksgiving weekend. This morning, and Mr. Chair, I'm glad you started our meeting off with a moment of silence for keeping Bud and his family in our prayers. I've had one of those mornings where, well, it was last night, I was on a United Way board meeting with him as chair, and
Yikes.
things change so fast. And no matter what we are facing as individuals, we have a lot to be thankful for in trying to keep our eyes outward to help other people, to serve other people. And I know that's why all of us sitting here and every one of our employees, I think, struggles at times, but we're all sincerely here to serve others. And this is one of those days that reminds me of just being thankful for every moment that we have with each other and our families. And I got to spend time with both my daughters, and I missed one of my grandsons because he wasn't there, but having those 2 grandsons over Saturday while we were watching the Beaver game, dressed in their Beaver clothes, and hopefully it'll be a 3rd generation. Both my daughters went to school there, and Marcus, who works for Nike, he went to school there. It was just a great weekend. And I'll close with this.
Okay.
2020 has been one of those years. I love what Sheriff Cass said, that, Jason Meyer said 7 years as a sheriff is a pretty stressful job, and, if you can do it for 7 years. And when Joe Cass said, yeah, I've had 1 year that's a dog year, that equates to 7 years.
Yeah.
2020 has been one of those rough years, and it doesn't look like 2021 is going to start off any better for us for a while. But, having a victory and practicing and learning how to be a good winner.
Well, that's how I am. Always.
Right. I mean, we had a chance. We got a chance to practice being a good winner. It was a good thing, 2020. I'll remember that game and that year.
We have to be
Forever.
hopeful that the end is in sight with this vaccine. I see in England, they're actually approved one and gonna be getting it out. I didn't ask, there's about 5 different versions of the vaccine. Looks to me like one of them is determined to be better and one worse, so that'll be a later game where you try to get as much of the good stuff as you can, I think. But just to get it out there and have some hope of putting an end to this and starting to build back. And boy, I'll be telling you this 100 times, but I feel like I'm leaving all of you holding the bag. There's gonna be so much work to do, try to get things back.
I don't think you left us holding the bag. I mean, I think you're a very steady hand during this year. I was telling Jan yesterday that this was a really hard year, and we didn't do everything perfect, but I look back and I think we were there for our people through really hard times, we did the best that we could to try to support the people of Marion County, and we leaned heavily on you for your experience and just your knowledge of the county. You know, when we were hit with these really hard things, you know, I know at least for me, I didn't have to go try to become educated on every aspect of the county, because I knew that you'd been doing it for 17 years. And so no, I don't think you left us holding the bag at all. I think we had a big mountain that we were working off this year.
I'm not trying to make it into this kind of event. I'm just telling you. There'll be, I guess I get 30 minutes. Yeah, this will be a build-up. It's going to be the most fantastic, boring 30 minutes you've ever, where I get to summarize.
It's never boring with you, Sam.
No. I'll try to think of something.
I'm also glad you said something about Selma. She just had such a big heart for this
Sure.
community, and it is a huge, huge loss. And I know there are going to be, I'm sure, a number of opportunities for us to get together and talk about the impact she had in our community. But, you know, people with big hearts like that who love our community don't come around every day. And it really is a sad moment for Bud and for their family, but also for all of us and for the people of Salem and Marion County. Okay. With that, we'll adjourn.
It's time for Local Roots, music from Northwest artists. Let's welcome today's guest, Boxing Day.
Every next Friday, the night where they get high and celebrate their lives. They know it can't be sustained, but they rather burn, think about their future. Perfect teeth and bad skin, they get off on bad decisions when they're dressed to the letter in Safiano leather. Oh, 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 dressed to the letter with Safiano leather. Oh, oh, oh.